Wita. First comment. Wita. I love that first comment. Wita. Hi, everyone. What's up? Wita. That's the best. You scroll up, you can see the first comment said, Witage. Wita. I don't know. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Where's the love? Devon Desjardins. Hey, you gotta be French with a last name like Desjardins. Need my pirate's life. Yo, oh, yo, oh, pirate's life for me. The mayor has some updates, so we're live on IGTV. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. We're here again. So some crazy things definitely happened today. I've been getting a lot of questions. I'm texting as many of you guys as I can. Oh, I should probably do this too. Hold on one second. Text me. +1 boo 561. I love you guys so much. The mayor had some really awesome things to say today. I'm getting a lot of questions. I just got to make sure this is right. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. What's up? How you guys doing? Here we go. Now we're back. We're back. We're like really back though, like back. So, I'm so sorry I haven't been able to respond to everybody. That's all right if you don't speak English because Mayor Eric Garcetti goes on and then says some words in Spanish too. I'm really sorry that I haven't been able to text everyone. But here's the thing. What I'm hearing from a lot of people is, yo, what am I supposed to do if I get laid off, right? If I get fired. This is specifically the mayor of LA is addressing is for the city of LA, and Pasadena and Long Beach are following suit, doing whatever he says as well, to my knowledge. So this is for you. I don't know about other states. I don't know about other counties. I got a buddy. He lives in Colorado. All the way in the mountains, and he actually got laid off too. But he immediately applied for unemployment. That's why unemployment is there, so that if you get fired, then you can supplement your income. So I would say to you, if you got fired, if you got laid off because of COVID-19, apply for unemployment until we figure this out. To my knowledge, in LA, there's already programs for people that have been affected in that way. Okay, all this to say, let's get this started. It's not quite as long as last night. It's about a 30-minute video. I will be taking notes on my end over here, and I will be doing a summary at the end. So if you live in LA and you speak Spanish and your parents speak Spanish, you want to know what the fuck's going on, grab your parents in about 10 minutes or in about 20 minutes because Mayor Eric Garcetti is going to say some words in Spanish. And this is for Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Pasadena. All right, let's get started, people. Here we go. This is fun. I feel like I should have started doing this way earlier. And
good evening, Los Angeles. It's been a long week, hasn't it been? This was the week that changed everything. And I know that this has been an emotional time for all of us. I know there's been a lot of crying, and it's okay to cry. I know there's been a lot of fear, and it's okay to be scared. But I also know that it's right to be hopeful, because I have such rock-solid confidence in you in this city that we will get through this moment, as difficult and as challenging as it feels. And thank you for being there for one another, being there for Los Angeles, showing the heart of this city and its true spirit. As your leader, it's been breathtaking to witness. And I don't want to downplay how many challenges lie ahead of us.
Sorry, guys. I'm just putting my phone on silent for the presentation. Yeah, an F in that. Continue.
How tough it is for those who are about to feel economic devastation or already do. And while we have taken some critical and vital and necessary steps on public health this week, we will do everything we can to help those folks who are the most vulnerable to get through this and then to make sure Los Angeles recovers. you have my solid oath, my sworn oath, to make sure that happens. I know this was another tough day, that a lot of changes we didn't have yesterday came to the streets of LA, and that there was a lot of fear out there. But I want to just share with you my day, because I saw incredible generosity out there. I took my daughter Maya out for a walk. My wife, who's the principal, has deputized me as the science teacher. And here's just a little parent hack. You can do PE and instruction at the same time if you walk and talk. But as we were on the streets of our neighborhood, people literally were waving, singing, shouting nice things at a safe distance, of course, interacting with each other. It was wonderful to see the spirit of this city and its hope on the streets, the goodness of its people in each one of these interactions. That's what I referred to last night when I said LA love, and there's a lot of it going around. Earlier this week, Jemiah Hargens and a handful of volunteers in the West Adams area gave away 500 pounds of produce, oranges and grapefruits, tangerines and lemons, to 40 single-parent families and elderly neighbors where they live. One of LA's finest chefs, one of the finest chefs in the world, Nancy Silverton, didn't wait. She set up a relief center in one of her Melrose restaurants where she is giving out free meals and other items like wipes to restaurant industry professionals who are now jobless or those who are working to keep us fed or who have had severely reduced hours. Angelinos with the means to help others have sponsored a food truck to deliver healthy food in underserved communities and to keep that food truck going. And even as folks practice what we've been calling smart social distancing on walks around their neighborhood, people are willing to break the sound barrier in LA and finally say hello to one another. Suddenly, our big city feels like a small town. In this spirit, this morning I heard a rabbi from the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, the site of the worst anti-Semitic attack in American history, speaking about how we need to reframe that term, social distancing. And it stuck with me. It's true that we need physical distancing right now. It's literally the most important thing each one of us can do to slow the spread of the coronavirus. But while we are physically distancing one another, we want to lessen the social separation between our lives and in our city. We will need each other now more than ever. I love that way of thinking about it, that right now this is about socially coming together, even as we physically distance from one another. Let me talk about the action we took yesterday and thank again Catherine Barger, my fellow mayors from both Pasadena and Long Beach, Mayors Tornick and Garcia, and all the other cities that have adopted similar measures. Our Safer at Home order was fundamentally about protecting the precious lives of Angelinos. And many of you today, rightfully so, called city and county offices or reached out on email or social media. We're going to keep helping you answer those questions. And we're going to add those answers to the frequently answered questions, frequently asked questions at coronavirus.lacity.org. Our goal is to make this order as accessible as possible. And through automatic translation, you can read that order in more than 100 languages. Now, as our entire city complies with the directive, we are continually working to get you more and more information to help you with the new normal as you live at home, work at home, study at home, stay healthy at home, meet your children's basic needs, and secure your basic necessities. I'd like to make something else clear from the outset, that I'm so grateful to Governor Newsom for the steps he took last night as well. Joining the city and the county in issuing a statewide stay-at-home order, and our orders complement one another. We continue to urge Angelinos to follow the city orders, including last night's, and urge all Californians to follow the governor's order. So many of us are wondering what this order will look like in our day-to-day lives. So tonight, let me spend a few minutes in plain language telling you what this will mean for our health and our safety, for our families, and for our communities. Let me start with our health and our safety because that comes first. This order is focused entirely on your health and safety. And while so many parts of our lives are changing, you will always be able to get the medical care you need. Healthcare providers and pharmacies can stay open for essential needs, but there are new precautions that we all need to take. If you're feeling sick, don't just go into the doctor's office. Begin by calling your doctor, a nurse hotline, or an urgent care center. Many providers now have telemedicine where you can use your phone or device to talk with and even see a doctor or a medical professional without leaving home. Don't go to an emergency room unless you have a medical emergency. And if you do need to go in, use strict physical distancing practices. And check online resources like the CDC website if you're worried that you or a loved one has COVID-19 first. Our focus has to be in helping each other. And helping each other means maintaining the capacity that is so fragile in our healthcare system, hospitals, and clinics for those who are truly critically in need of services and beds. So all healthcare visits that are not canceled or rescheduled should be done remotely, and elective medical procedures and doctor's visits should be canceled or postponed. Second, what does this mean for our families? Everyone is safer at home. Older or younger, sick or healthy, everyone should stay at home. And I know that staying home presents new challenges for family life. We're all getting to know each other again even better. You can keep filling up your gas tank. You can keep picking up your medications. There is plenty of food, a great time to cook. There's no need to overbuy for you or for your family because grocery stores, pharmacies, hardware stores will remain open. And you can still order food from restaurants for takeout, delivery, or drive-through. You don't need to stock up for a year. Just buy what you would for a normal week, please. And if you're able to keep your kids at home, you should. Childcare facilities can stay open, but they must comply with the health and safety rules that are laid out in our order. Kids have to be cared for in groups of 12 or fewer. Groups of kids cannot mix with each other, and providers may not circulate between groups. There are also people in all of our lives who need a little extra help, who rely on us to make sure that they are supported. You might be a caretaker to an older parent, a grandparent, or a friend. Our number one priority with the order is to keep our most vulnerable population safe. So if you are a caretaker, you can continue to provide support, but you need to follow the health and safety rules. Wash your hands before, during, after. Use hand sanitizer after coming into contact, and maintain at least 6 feet of distance whenever possible. If you feel like you're being cautious, still, step it up a notch or two and be even more cautious. And that caution must extend to everything we do in protecting the most vulnerable. I know it's very painful, but you cannot visit loved ones in a hospital, nursing home, skilled nursing facility, or other residential care facility except for end-of-life visits or if you work there. There are those limited exceptions, but we know from other cities and states that congregate facilities with lots of sick or elderly people are especially susceptible to this infection, and these populations are most at risk of death. To protect them, you'll need to hold off on visiting them for now. But that doesn't mean you can't check in with them, call them, make sure they're okay, tell them some stories, catch them up on their children or their grandchildren's life. Use this as an opportunity to connect as often as you can. Third and finally, what does this order mean for our communities, to our businesses and stores, workplaces, and places of gathering? I know that people are already hurting, and folks are worried about what this period will mean for their livelihood in the long term. Those fears are justified. I don't dismiss them 1 minute. The businesses that are staying open are the ones that provide essential needs. Healthcare providers, grocery stores, hardware stores, media outlets, and some social service agencies. Construction is also an essential need because we must keep building homeless shelters, housing, and infrastructure, and we expect those construction activities and sites will adhere to physical distancing practices. That is required in this order. However, we have currently paused planning commission meetings, and because of that, tonight I'm signing an emergency order to indefinitely extend all of the deadlines for land use approvals in our city. The only people who should be leaving their homes and going out for anything other than essential activities or exercise are those whose jobs are critical to the safety, health, and security of the city, period. It's the simplest way to describe this order. I know this has put major strains on businesses, small and large. One of the ways you can help those folks that are the businesses you go to is pre-purchase services now that you know you will need at the tail end of this. Help your barber or your nail salon, your physical therapist. Help these businesses by making sure they have cash flow now, and they will redeem that for services when this is over. From our city to our state and federal partners, every level of government is looking at ways that we can help one another. As we speak, more than 1,000 beds are going into 8 shelters that my office, our city council, the county, and the Homeless Services Agency stood up this week. It was a heroic effort and will continue to be. We expect 13 centers will be up and running by tomorrow. And we are moving forward with a plan to house people at a total of what will become 42 sites in the weeks to come. I want to say a special thanks to one group of city workers, 377 employees of our Rec and Parks Department, who are staffing these shelters. I also want to thank the LAPD officers who are providing 24/7 security, the 33 LAUSD nurses who volunteered to provide services, the Department of Transportation employees who are bringing folks off the street as we speak, and LASA, our Homeless Services Authority, who has helped coordinate this whole effort together with our county public health officials who will help us keep these sites safe. That's not all we're doing. We created an $11 million loan program together with the City Council to support the small businesses of Los Angeles. It's just a start, and we hope that state and federal money will join us in this effort. And as you know, we've issued moratoriums on evictions for both residential and commercial renters who are unable to keep up with the bills for the people being hit hardest. At a time in which we are all making sacrifices, in truth, some will be hit harder than others. So please don't use this emergency as an excuse to get out of your rent if you can pay it. If you can pay rent, you should. And if, as a result of this crisis, you really can't, we've got your back. While the federal government is stepping up to support unemployed workers, individuals and families in Los Angeles County, in Los Angeles City, who need emergency assistance for groceries, utilities, and rent, should contact the City Local Family Source Center in your neighborhood. Family Source Center, you can Google that online, of the City of LA, will give those pieces of assistance to all of our families. And especially to those displaced workers, I want to announce tonight a new place that you can go called the LA Jobs Portal, a one-stop shop for out-of-work Angelenos due to COVID-19. This is a site that will connect folks with help and to jobs, with important resources and easy-to-read, one-page formats available in both English and Spanish. It is continually updated with the most relevant resources, sectors like the grocery sector that are hiring, and the biomedical sectors who need folks in their laboratories. And I encourage everyone in need to go to lajobsportal.org. That's lajobsportal.org. Our business community is already stepping up in huge ways as well. And I've been on the phone with many business leaders who I want to thank. Our professional sports teams, whose athletes are rooting for us now. We're used to rooting for them, and they're stepping up in incredible ways. Earlier, I spoke with Netflix's Chief Content Officer, Ted Sarandos, and Netflix has created a $100 million fund to help with hardship in the creative community, and I thank you for setting that bar. As the nation's largest garment and apparel manufacturing hub, I want to share with you, too, that we are working with our designer, garment, and apparel manufacturing folks to ramp up production of non-medical grade masks and to expand the production of badly needed hospital gowns. We're contacting local manufacturers to make other items such as gloves, disinfectants, and organizing the 3D printing community to make badly needed parts for our medical equipment, our beds, and our hospitals. Folks who are on the supply chain, who are toy manufacturers or others are stepping up to find us those resources for medical grade masks and other equipment that we need. And as a major food processor with a large food and beverage sector, these facilities are ramping up production to make sure our shelves will stay stocked throughout this and ensuring that their employees are safe. Everybody is doing their part. Grocery workers, truck drivers, medical personnel, first responders, homeless service workers, and so many more. And I've called upon our city employees who are taking on new roles to support our city's response to this crisis as part of our city's Disaster Service Workers Program. And I'm asking the men and women who already spend every day serving our city to go even further. And I thank you in advance for your service, to go above and beyond the call of duty to support our most vulnerable neighbors. My friends, my fellow Angelenos, I love this city. I love its people. I love its geography and neighborhoods. I love everything about this that makes this our home. And I make each one of the decisions that I've made this week with a heavy heart, but with a very clear mind. Safer at home is an act of love for this city that we love. It is LA love. This is a critical moment, but it is your responsibility to adhere to these orders. There's no ands, ifs, or buts. It is our duty to adhere to these orders. Because, as I mentioned, unlike a fire or an earthquake, we have the power to prevent this health crisis from getting worse. We won't be holding a briefing like this tomorrow evening so that I can dedicate tomorrow to visiting the new homeless shelters that are opening and then focusing the day on doing the work of tomorrow, not just responding to the work of today. I'll be focusing with my team on the medical, economic, and community health needs of Los Angeles in the days, weeks, and months ahead. How can we best help the county and our medical community get the beds they're going to need, the equipment and tests they're going to need? How can we look to the future when we do jumpstart our economy back to make sure that we can roar back with as much strength as possible? And like you, I'm going to spend a little bit of time with my family. I'll be back with an update on Sunday evening, sharing some of that critical information about the weeks ahead and explaining more about where we are in the fight to slow the spread of the novel coronavirus. As always, over the weekend and every day, your city will continue to operate. So stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Thank you, Los Angeles. Continue to lead with love, sending you all strength and love. And with that, I'll take some questions. Go ahead, we'll take the first one. Okay.
Our first question comes from the line of Steve Gregory with KFI Radio. Please go ahead.
Hi, Steve.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thanks again for doing the update and making yourself available to us. Could you talk a little bit about the recreation centers that you're turning into shelters? And have you identified, is it that all rec centers in the city are doing that? And also, how are you informing the homeless population about the services available to them?
Great. Well, working backwards, we've been preparing for weeks. I think I said a couple days ago that all the folks who normally do homeless outreach to connect with services and other things really focused on sanitation, the over 310 hand sanitizer stations that we have, the toilets that we're putting out there, the best practices, and letting people know about this threat. We've also been walking those streets and letting people know about the plan in the last 2 days so that people know that the order is if there are beds, they need to go to them, and also that they're available to them. And the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, who collects information about people on the street all the time with a better and more robust database every day, have identified the 4,000 most vulnerable folks and are going to those locations where LAHSA and other agency outreach workers normally go to talk to those folks and where they have already personal relationships. So they have now let them know there are folks that are as we speak, being transported to those shelters. And in terms of the first question, how do we decide those? They were the exact same shelters that we have in our city's emergency plan after any disaster. an earthquake, a fire. So those have been pre-selected from many different years. We're listening to input from some council members about other ones that they might want to add to that as well. But out of our Emergency Operations Center, those are the ones that are most able to, throughout the city with geographic diversity, as we have used them recently for our fires and other emergencies. So it's the same list, not a brand new one. Thanks for the question. Next question.
Our next question is from the line of Dara Dauncey with CBS Los Angeles. Please go ahead.
Hi.
Hello, Mayor. This is Sarah Dauncey with CBS Los Angeles, KCAL 9. Thank you for making yourself available. I have two questions. The first is we have fielded some private concerns from some of these parks and rec workers, wondering how they will be kept safe, and I was hoping you could specifically outline procedures in place to keep them from becoming infected. And the second question, we've also fielded concerns from workers who said, my boss is still requiring me to come to work and is not complying with this new order. Can you speak to what they should do if they're faced with a situation like this? Thank you.
So let me start with the second question. Thank you, Dara, very much. The first piece is, yes, there are critical workers. We've mobilized the City Disaster Service Workers Program, which means that if your boss is telling you need to work, you are part of that. You might not traditionally have a critical job. You might not be a Los Angeles police officer, but that is part of all of our employment to serve the city of Los Angeles. But second, your safety and well-being is first and foremost in all of our minds. We're making sure, of course, first and foremost, with the new shelters, people are screened before they get there. Nobody with any symptoms is getting on buses, going to these shelters. They may be among the safer places in this city, quite frankly. And anybody who develops symptoms is immediately, and there's plans with motel rooms standing by, other kind of tiny homes where people can go and can quarantine away from everybody else. Protective personal equipment, as well as a training for all these workers, is being conducted by our public health workers as well. And for a lot of folks, this is not the first time we've interacted with people who are unhoused, who sometimes face health challenges. And so you talk to a Los Angeles Fire Department worker, that's part of their existence. 10 to 15% of those calls are folks who are unhoused on the streets, and we have best practices. So our own firefighters and paramedics are helping with that, and others, and we want to make sure their safety is first and foremost, which is why I thank them for stepping up and being a part of this. With those initial workers that are going to be there, we could not do this without you. You are literally saving lives, and we appreciate you, we see you, and we thank you. Next question.
Sorry about the delay. Be just one moment. We're gathering their information.
Okay, thank you. They can go ahead if they can just self-identify. It's fine.
I love the guy who's doing the sign language. He's my favorite. He's been here every day. That's my
All right.
blue.
Do we have any other questions? When I'm done with the questions, by the way, I will be saying remarks in Spanish as well, and we'll take some questions that I can answer in Spanish as well for our Spanish media. So, can't hear if we have any other. I'm not hearing any, so, okay. Let me go ahead and say a few remarks in Spanish. We're going to switch out our interpreters. Buenas tardes, Los Ángeles, a todos. Hemos pasado una semana muy larga. Nuestras vidas están cambiando para el futuro inmediatamente. Sé que estamos sintiendo muchas emociones y tenemos miedo, pero yo tengo esperanza también, que vamos a salir adelante. Tengo esperanza porque veo la generosidad y el espíritu de esta ciudad. Hoy quisiera hablarles sobre cómo la orden más protegidos en casa impacta nuestras vidas y nuestra comunidad. Le insistimos a los angelinos que cumplan con la orden que lanzamos en Los Ángeles anoche, tanto como con la del gobernador Newsom. Esta orden se enfoca completamente en su salud y su protección. Si buscan atención médica, tienen que tomar unas medidas de precaución. Si se siente enfermo, no salga al centro médico, llame primero y hable con un médico o con una enfermera. Y no vaya a la sala de emergencias si no tiene una emergencia. De segundo, ¿qué significa esto para nuestras familias? Todos estamos más protegidos en casa y por eso todos debemos quedarnos en casa. Esto puede presentar nuevos desafíos para la vida familiar, pero mucho de lo cotidiano sigue lo mismo. Puedes llenar tus medicamentos y llenar tu tanque con gasolina. Los mercados y las farmacias permanecerán abiertos. También estarán abiertos los centros para cuidado infantil. Pero todos estos recados deben conformarse a las estrictas prácticas de la sana distancia. Nuestra primera prioridad con esta orden es proteger a nuestras poblaciones más vulnerables y ayudar a mantenerlos sanos. Yo sé que nuestra gente ya está sintiendo el dolor del impacto económico a largo plazo y estamos trabajando para ayudarles con esto. Hoy he anunciado el sitio Empleos Los Ángeles, un centro de información para angelinos que no tienen empleo debido a esta crisis del COVID-19. Les invito a visitar el sitio lajobsportal.org. Otro recurso incluye un fondo de $100 millones establecido por Netflix para ayudar con las dificultades en la comunidad creativa. Gracias a Netflix. Y además, siendo el centro de fabricación de prendas en el país, estamos colaborando con nuestros fabricantes locales para aumentar la producción de mascarillas y de batas de hospital, y guantes, desinfectantes y más partes necesarias. Yo amo esta ciudad. Mi familia es un parte de esta ciudad. Hace 4 generaciones hemos vivido aquí en esta ciudad de Los Ángeles. Y más protegidos en casa es un acto de amor para esta gran ciudad que amamos tanto. Este es el amor de Los Ángeles. En este momento crítico es su responsabilidad de cumplir con estas órdenes. Y gracias por su participación. En este momento tenemos el poder para evitar que esta crisis de salud se vuelva peor. Entonces, quédense protegidos, quédense en buena salud, quédense en casa y tomen el liderazgo con el amor para Los Ángeles. Gracias. And with that, I'll answer some questions. I'm being informed there's none. Okay. Thank you all. Be safe. I'll talk to you on Sunday. You'll see me out and about tomorrow, but I'll talk to you on Sunday. And thank you for the love that you are spreading in these tough times, and we promise we will get through this together. God bless Los Angeles. Have a good evening.
Whew. All right, yo. All right. That was crazy. I'm going to sign off, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to review. All right. Adios.